Welcome back to the Buzzworthy Women Podcast. Today, we are thrilled to have Tanya Kulesh with us. Tanya is the powerhouse CEO and founder of Time 220. She is also stirring up the marketing world as a CMO at Dirty Dog Beauty Club. With a rich 16-year journey in digital marketing, Tanya's expertise shines across various sectors from beauty, fashion, electronics, and more. She's a master at weaving magic into brand and influencer marketing, driving both customer acquisition and retention. Never settling for the ordinary, Tanya brings her sharp marketing expertise as a fractional CMO to Amazon brands as well as direct to consumer businesses, skillfully merging the finest elements of both brand strategies and agency insights. So, tune in as Tanya dives into her journey of transforming digital marketing landscapes, navigating challenges with savvy, and executing with brilliance her lessons that she's learned over time. Get ready to be inspired. Tanya, welcome on the show.
Yay! Thank you so much, Tori, for the most fabulous introduction. My God, I feel so lucky and so privileged to be here with you today and the show. So thanks again for having me.
Yes, people always love to hear these like glorious intros, right? And it's so fun to kind of set the stage for the conversation to come. And then, for our perspective, we've had what they call the green room conversation before we hit record. So you and I have already been chatting it up, and we're excited to dive into this conversation. But I wanted to first kind of touch point on how we met. A few things. We met through a fractional Slack channel community, online community. And then we actually had the pleasure of meeting in person last year. So, such an amazing opportunity. But yeah, I don't even know how we got connected and then how we've come to where we are now.
It's all the miracle ways, right? But yeah, it was actually pretty cool to obviously meet you through the fractional community, but also to meet you in person. I feel like, you know, uh, we always stare at our computers these days, so like I truly treasure all of those in person moments because we just don't get that many of them, unfortunately, anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's so few and far between, but I think it's so necessary for us as humans and women specifically. I think we thrive on that community and in-person interaction. So I am so grateful that I met you and that we met in person, and we're going to continue to have this communication conversation and just share your insights and talk more about what it is that you do.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, talk to me about your business, Time 220. So, what's the behind the scenes story? How that came about? What inspired you to start that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in digital marketing for the last 16 years. Obviously, a lot has changed since I started my career. Um, you know, Paid search is where I began. I was always fascinated by the world of Google. And when I was graduating from college, that was sort of like a natural place for me to start my career. So I worked for some of the major New York City based agencies, and I went from all the way, basic coordinator roles to managing multi-million budgets. So some of my clients included Dell Computers, Saks Fifth Avenue, Reckitt Benckiser, just to kind of name a few. And then from there, I joined the brand side of things, and I absolutely loved getting to know everything from the front end of things, so all things obviously marketing, merchandising, to the back end, right? So I got involved with a lot of operational
Mm.
aspects of different businesses, financial, product development, creative stuff, and it was the best thing that I could have I could have ever done for myself, learning all of these things. And then, which brings me to, my business, which is Time to 20. So essentially, last year, around May, I went through unfortunately a really traumatic experience in my life. So my dog was attacked, and we didn't know if she would survive. She lost her leg,
Mm,
so her leg was amputated, and I think that forever changed me,
mm,
and I spent the whole summer, with my dog Sherry, making sure that she recovered well, and also went through my own kind of recovery process. And I think around August is when I really decided that, I need to make some changes in my life, and, prioritize some things, and, put a lot more energy and like passion into other things. And
yeah,
so that's why I just essentially decided to, leave a pretty cushy, well-paying job, and, kind of like jump on this entrepreneurship journey
yeah,
and see where it would take me. So that's kind of like how it's a backstory. A lot of people don't actually know that this is what happened. But
yeah,
again, sometimes like some of those bigger traumatic experiences would lead you to to these new things in your life. So and then when it comes to time, so basically, at time to 20, we provide consulting services for D2C and Amazon businesses, right?
mm,
So anything from your brand strategy to advertising to influencer marketing to your website experience, both from UI and UX
yeah,
point of view, and also customer service. So it's the whole 360. And the reason why I wanted to basically offer all of these services is because in a lot of cases, a lot of these smaller brands, they either they either don't have, I guess, like funds or capacity or just enough knowledge
mm,
to really understand and do a lot of these things. But all these things obviously matter for your brand success.
right.
So that's kind of like what we are about. It's a again, it's a consulting business, and we mostly work with younger founders, so mainly millennials and Gen Zs,
Nice.
and businesses that have generated between 1 million and 20 million in revenue.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about your business and people needing this type of support and service and not necessarily having the funds, you do this from a fractional perspective, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
so talk about, so
Yeah.
for people who don't understand this fractional model, which is kind of new. I mean, it's more mainstream now, but talk a little bit about how the fractional side works.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not. I only came across the word fractional in the second half of last year.
Yeah.
And, I consider myself a pretty savvy, person. I read a lot of those like popular marketing publications. I'm subscribed to a lot of different cool channels. So
Yeah.
that really surprised me. So I heard terms like consulting, I heard terms like freelancing, but never fractional. So when when I was doing my research and I was trying to figure out, okay, like how to position myself as
Mhm.
someone who, reached a certain experience level in my career, did, again, like I spent time, in director and VP roles, marketing roles. I was just trying to figure out, okay, like what is the best way to position, and like also how I would be able to offer some of these services. And
Mhm.
so essentially being a fractional means that you are consider you can be considered a true chief marketing officer at a limited capacity, right? So a lot of smaller companies, they don't have funds, or they don't really have, yeah, I would say like funds is the biggest reason why
Right.
they don't have funds to really hire a VP level marketing person or a chief marketing level person. And so they're kind of like stuck in this position where they might have a team of a couple of entry level or mid level marketing people
Yeah.
who never really oversaw big budgets, or who those are also the people who might be, again, like really fresh in their career, so they just don't have enough knowledge about kind of like a bigger picture and bigger
Right.
strategy.
Right.
And so because of that, a lot of these companies, they kind of like have a tendency to just tag along instead of really
Mm,
like understanding and maximizing all the opportunities that come their way, you know? And again, there's only this many hours in the day,
for
and
sure.
you need to really understand what's going to move the needle for you. All right. So again, if
Yeah.
you talk to me, 16 years ago, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you what would really move the needle for your business. So it comes with, years of experience where, I would
Mhm.
probably be able to, after analyzing and auditing your business, to really put together a comprehensive marketing plan. And not every business needs to be running Facebook ads, and just not like every business needs to have influencer marketing, either. So, you have to
Right.
be very selective and like how you do things. So, I know that it was a long answer to your question, but
No, 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 that's perfect. I
um,
mean, I think, I'm very similar to you that, I've been in business for in the marketing space for 18, 20 years. I think I'm losing track of time now, but it's like that time and experience lends itself to a level of expertise, right? And knowledge that some of the newer people coming into the industry just don't have. And like you said, the fractional term is something that's fairly new. I've known about freelancing consulting. That's kind of been what the wording was. A consultant would come into your business and help with strategy and that sort of thing. But I think that this new wave of fractional, because as you and I both know from the community that we're a part of, it's exploding, and there are fractionals for so many different avenues that within a business, which I think is so cool, because then it's almost like it's not this exclusivity that you have to be a million, 2 million, $10 million company to have this level of strategy or expertise. You can have it at a fractional, level. So I think it's really cool to have that aspect of it and be able to bring in people like you and me into these businesses to really help them elevate and excel quicker.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think, I wanted to also mention a couple of other reasons, sometimes, when you're a small company, you are told different things, like you need to have an agency for this, you need to have a freelancer for this. But do you really,
Right.
do you really need to be spending 5, 10, $15,000 on, let's say, your, again, like Facebook campaigns,
Right.
or can you just run a basic campaign, test, and kind of like see what really works and then grow it,
Yeah.
and then, maybe like down the line, maybe like, it can be 1, 3, 5 years is when you could consider hiring a proper agency. And I think that a lot of these companies, and I speak to founders daily who are just so confused, they're completely lost,
Yeah.
they don't know like what to do, because they keep hearing all these different things, they read about all these different agencies, and here and there, like LinkedIn, Facebook channel, and they're just confused. So I
Right.
think that's where people like you and I, we come in, where it's more about, helping these founders to really figure out what they need.
Mhm.
It's not just about, your overall marketing strategy, but it's also about the resources that you need, the people, the
Yeah.
type of people that you need,
Yep.
because again, it's not, your success really depends on the people that work for you. So if you don't have the right people in place, unfortunately, like, and 9 out of 10 times, like, you will be struggling,
Yeah.
right? Because like human factor is a huge factor.
Yeah.
So that's, I think that's also important for people to understand. That's why, like, having a fractional CMO, CTO, COO will not only save you money, but it will save you a lot of time, efforts, and a lot of tears,
Yes.
that you might have as a result of like a bad hire,
Yeah.
whether agency hire or freelance hire.
Yeah. Now, since you work with kind of the younger generation, the millennials, do you feel that they're more receptive to this fractional approach, or are they hesitant? I'm just curious, thinking, because I know for my demographic, I work with a lot of I don't want to say older, but the other generations that are not necessarily familiar with this type of thing. Do you find that the millennials are like, heck yeah, let's do that, or are they still kind of like, what does this mean, or what's your approach with how that conversation goes?
Yeah, I think, um I think, I do experience some hesitancy from these founders too sometimes, but that's only because they're just really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So there is so much, again, there's so much of information, there's so much that's going on a daily basis, that it's very easy to get lost and be completely overwhelmed. So I think when I speak to them, I almost have to come from a perspective of like an older sibling,
Right.
a point of view, and tell them that, look, like, I get it. I totally get it. I've been there. I've been in your shoes. I understand that, you get hundreds of emails, like, you get hundreds of emails every day from all these different companies. Your whatever friends, your partners, they have like lots of recommendations. There's just like so much going on. So like, I completely get it.
Yeah.
Like, let me help you to process all of this so that we can figure out what really matters.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I think when I speak to them from this perspective, like in a really calming, like confident voice,
Yeah.
and I tell them that, look, it's okay. You are not the only one struggling with all of this today. There's a lot going on. I mean, look, we hear all these things like AI, cookieless world, like iOS updates. It's like whatever, like this whole, like, new tagging situation that I'm currently actually personally dealing with as well. Of course, bet you're going to be completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So, it's okay. We'll deal with it.
Right.
Let's just prioritize
Right.
things
It's almost like a
first and
trusted
foremost.
advisor. That's kind of one of the roles
Yes.
that you play.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, Tori. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the industries that you work with, because you've worked with, different sectors in beauty and fashion, electronics, all these different things. What's your kind of niche that you is like your sweet spot? What do you love working with?
So for the last few years, I've been mainly focusing on beauty, and it's all things beauty, from your skincare to colors, so color cosmetics to fragrance. I do love the space because it's super fast moving, and there's
Yeah.
just always so much going on, right? And I also like the space um, because there's so much going on, right? You always have to stay on top of different trends. And I think that's like one of the things that, really keeps me going, is like knowing that, like, every single day will be different, right? So the moment that you wake up, there might be like another cool, fragrance brand that, gets launched by X, Y, and Z celebrity, and just kind of
Mm.
like dissecting all of these trends and really understanding from macroeconomic, microeconomic, like local level, like what's really happening, and why, some products are trending up, why
Mm.
some, things are trending down. I really love it.
That's so
All of
cool.
it.
And talk a little
Yeah.
bit about the influencer marketing side of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I might sound old, which is like, it's insane, but like, of course, like 16 years ago, no one even heard about influencer
Right.
marketing, right? So like then 5 years ago, we already had some big influencers on Instagram, right? So I think, actually, let me try to think about it. So 2016, 2017, that's when I worked at Barney's New York. So I was in this kind of like high end fashion space. So we worked with a lot of um, like fashion related celebrities. So it was actually, it was pretty big, but back then,
Yeah.
but not to the level where it is now. And I feel like what's happening with the space, and TikTok is to blame. Um, you know I think, but actually, no, I don't mean it in a bad way, but I think what we're seeing right now, it's a complete democratization of the space,
Mm.
right? So like, again, 2016, 2017, you sort of had a few of these like really large, popular people on Instagram that, again, like everyone followed, everyone knew. And if you're like a small guy, then you're sort of like, well, it's great, but you're not really like an influencer.
Yeah.
I love the fact that now you can have, 1,000 followers, you can have one crazily viral video, and everyone will be like, wow, you're an influencer. Literally one, just one video, that's all that it takes.
Right.
And I love it. I think that's genius, so like, again, thanks TikTok
Yeah.
for that.
Now, how do you see that evolving over time?
um I mean, again, if TikTok doesn't get banned, which again, like, let's just not even go there. I do think that every, at least in DTC
Mm.
and Amazon space, because the reason why I focus on DTC and Amazon is because they are becoming one.
Yes.
If you have a DTC brand, you have to be on Amazon.
True.
There is no way other, there is no way around this,
Yeah.
because if you're not there, someone can buy your product, and sell it. Your competitors are there, so you got to be there. So it's no longer like, they're both channels are no longer siloed. So I treat them as one
Yeah.
channel. So, which means that, when it comes to all, influencer marketing efforts, that applies to both. So that's why, I'll say like DTC plus Amazon, DTC plus Amazon, over and over again, because if get one viral video,
Mm.
you will see halo effect across all avenues of your business,
Certainly.
especially on DTC and Amazon, right? So in terms of what I see is going to be happening, I think that Amazon it's already becoming more involved in this whole influencer uh, uh, game, because I think it is, a lot of the times it is a game,
Yeah.
because it's like, who can come up with like a cooler way to, or like a trendier way to influence people, right? And I do think that essentially all of us, and I mean like consumers, we will become influencers one way or another.
Yeah.
There's literally just like no way around this, which is, again, it's a good and and the bad thing at the same time, but it's already happening. So
Mhm.
people who spend a lot of time on Amazon, you essentially, like, you can share your shopping history. I'm sure that like very soon Amazon will open up something like an Amazon shop for your personal use, so you'll be able to share it with your friends as well.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's moving in a really interesting direction.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of, I would call them influencers who have, I don't know if what it's called specifically in Amazon, but they basically have like their like favorites, right? So they have a
Yep.
page that has all of their things that they recommend, that they use, that they kind of promote, and it's like, here's a link, go see, everything that you should purchase for X, Y, and Z. So I think that that's another huge thing too. People are leveraging it that way as well, building their own kind of list to share with their consumers, and also promoting brands that they may be getting influencer kickback for, or just brand ambassadors, if you will.
Exactly. Well, and it's also like a way to obviously
Mm.
monetize, right? Your, like, what are, all of your influencer settings. And I think that's a really smart model, right? Amazon calls it affiliate
Yeah.
influencers. They actually have a couple of programs, which is really funny, because basically, if you are, if you're a pretty large influencer, then you're able to have this like really nice looking Amazon shop of yours. But if you're a smaller influencer, like on a smaller scale, then there is a different version for you, because you're just not cool enough yet. But either way, you'll be getting some kind of, you can earn some type of commission. And I think that's really enticing to people, because even if you have, let's say, a small Instagram account or a small TikTok account, it only takes 2 seconds to add that Amazon link
Yep.
into your account,
Yep.
right? So again, even if it's a couple of dollars each day, like, why not? Why not
Yeah.
take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
So
Brilliant on Amazon's point, right?
yeah, 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 exactly.
So, talk to me about some of the most valuable lessons that you've learned in your career through shifting, through growing, evolving. What are some valuable lessons that you can share with the listeners?
Um, Absolutely. I think the most valuable lessons, uh, they came from learning how to work with people. So to a lot of us, like especially like, again, if you've been in the industry for a while, I mean, that there are uh, people constantly, they use big terms like, oh, do this in marketing and do that in marketing, and
Mm,
like this matters and that matters. But I think the biggest thing that truly matters is are humans, right? And like that human connection. So again, because I've worked at a number of different companies, small size, like super startup companies, to really large size companies, throughout my journey, I take pride in it. I think I was always really respectful, really open, really, just engaging with all of my coworkers and all the, partners. And I think it definitely
yeah.
helped me with, first of all, like, um, creating and doing some really cool work. So some of the projects and some of the launches that I've had in my career were absolutely fantastic, and that's because, again, I was able to connect all the dots and bring all the the parties together.
Mm,
And it was definitely like really incredible. So I think, um you know really focus on creating these relationships and nurturing them,
mm,
and really understanding, you know um who are your people,
mhm,
like who is your tribe. Like, tribe is the word that is used a lot,
yeah.
but you'll be surprised, especially, again, if you're, if you're consultant, if freelance, even if even again, if you have your own company, just like have those people who you can trust, and who will always be there for you, and who advice you really value.
Yeah.
So I think that's my biggest thing, really, honestly, in my whole entire career, yeah, choose wisely, right?
Right. And then finally, so on specifically on women business owners, women entrepreneurs, any advice for women specifically as they're going down this road of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, absolutely. I recently actually posted about this on LinkedIn, but I was thinking about it. I went for a long walk, and I was thinking about it. I was like, what are some of the things that I would uh, tell myself, tell my 20-year-old something self, who was just about to, graduate college, and I think it was actually like right in the midst of the whole financial crisis
Mm,
of, 2008. So, like, crazy time to really graduate. But is there, I always say, is there the right time? I don't think so. So,
right.
to all of Gen Zs, to all of those, like Generation Alpha, like, guys, believe me, like, it's never easy, and it never was. So, but I think it's a couple of things. So the first one is rejection.
Mm,
Do not be afraid of rejection. Just keep going, keep moving. Honestly, every time that I went through rejection, and especially in my career, in the beginning of my career, there are some instances where I felt like I was rejected. I felt you know, um, I deserve to be treated better, but I wasn't, so I took it really personally. And instead of like soaking and like really just thinking about it, I made it a constant, I made a decision that, like, never in my life will I take it too personally. So really early on, I was like, I don't care, even if I was rejected. I just need to keep going, because that means that better doors might be open for you, and better opportunities will come your way. So be positive, stay positive, and don't worry about rejection. Another thing that I'm going to say to a lot of women entrepreneurs out there: um, do not think twice.
mm, mm,
Just do it. I think us as women, we have a tendency to analyze things a lot more than men do. I even compare myself to a lot of men that I worked with in the past. I compare myself to my partner,
yeah.
when I listen to some of the things, and he's like, well, I think that, that went pretty well. Like, I mean, if it was me, I would. I would be like, "Oh my god, that was awful. I feel, I feel like I was completely unprepared, and I shouldn't have done it. Like it was such a bad idea." And with guys, like they just brush it off and they
Right.
they keep moving.
Right.
They keep going. They don't care. They don't analyze, right? Like life is so much simpler, when it comes to guys. And I feel like with us women, we have this tendency to just really go deep, and it's in our nature.
Yeah.
But sometimes just going with the flow, just doing it, and then seeing what happens is a good idea. And then the third thing is, again, and I know that there are probably different ages that are listening to us right now, but it will all work out in the end.
Mhm.
Do you know, it's a journey. I always think about our lives, our lives as a journey, not a destination.
For
Like, enjoy
sure.
it,
Yeah.
in every moment of it. And when it gets tough, like, just know that there is always another day, and it will get better, so it
Yeah.
will all work out in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. As you're talking, the word that comes to mind for me is resilience. And I think that
Yes.
that kind of capsulates everything that you just said, because as women or business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever, it's about resilience, learning from your lessons, growing from it and moving forward. And so I think you said it perfectly, exactly what we need to hear. Just keep moving forward, take it one day at a time, and don't be hesitant. Just jump in full steam ahead, because you're meant to do what you're doing. So thank you so much for being a
Yep.
guest here, sharing all your information, knowledge. I just love being able to chat with you, and just having this connection with you as well. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you do, and how they can talk to you, be connected, all the things?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple of ways to do that. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's actually one of my most favorite channels ever. So it's Tanya Kulesh on LinkedIn. You can also get in touch with me via my email address, which is tanya@time20.com.
Love it. Well, awesome. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a guest. We will definitely continue our conversation offline and for days and months and years to come. So, thank you again. I appreciate your time today.